it, so it didn't really, you couldn't record it in the same way that you could in like modern day, like where pretty much anyone can write about like their point of view for the revolution. And I know but like before the 1900s, even when there was news or anything like that, it was very scattered and like spread out, especially in the United States from my research, because like it was centered around cities and stuff. But like if you look down the country or anything, you likely didn't get newspapers or any news for a while after it happened. So that's just a way that it's been silenced.
Yeah, and going off of that, like the history of the Haitian Revolution, a lot of it has been silenced amongst the public because it was like unthought of. It was something new that hadn't been happened before. And I remember a specific example in the book. Trio says, in other words, can historical narratives convey plots that are unthinkable in the world within which these narratives take place? How does one write a history of the impossible? So like, no historian, no writer of the past has access to all of the sources and everything from it. So when like the slave uprising happened in like the 1790s, and as it like kept going on and they were gaining more power, modern observers found it almost impossible to take it seriously because this was something new, like this hadn't happened before. And they like would come up with reasons why like this was happening, like the yellow fever, like different diseases. So they like literally thought of everything possible besides what actually happened. So that's like a silence that I read about when I was doing my research for my paper.
Yeah, and I know like during the French Revolution, the French government had its own special, tribunal called, it was like the Revolutionary Tribunal, where basically anyone that had a political crime, so that could be just about anything, they were tried there. And then, so, a bunch of writers, journalists, anyone basically the French government didn't like, they could be tried with a political crime. And then they would, be killed, they would be prison, they would have all kinds of stuff done to them to keep them quiet, basically.
Also, going off of what Colin said, once the people were imprisoned, the prisoners were not able to seek counsel to get help, or like they were unable to get their testimonies heard, so they weren't basically able to defend themselves. And then the witnesses that were supposed to defend the prisoners, or the ones that could actually speak out against the prisoners, they were unable to speak out, so that was also silenced. And then the Reign of Terror was a year that was full of numerous, over 1,000 executions of people that either revolted against the French government, so basically any of the revolutionaries, and all of those killings were silenced because all of those people weren't able to
tell their story and tell what happened from their perspective.
Yeah. Also, two of the really important people that were subjects of the Reign of Terror were King Henry XVI and also Mary Antoinette. So they were even more popular kings, and people of the higher classes were also subjected to those executions as well.
Awesome discussion, guys. I think you'll have a good grasp on what silences in history are. In the book, Trulio also discusses main power structures in revolutions. What would he say are the main power structures in your revolution? How did these power structures affect the outcome of your revolutions?
Actually, my research paper had a lot to do with this. Do you think I could pull it up and reference it?
Yeah, that's fun.
Okay. So prior to the Haitian Revolution, there were clear lines drawn between the social classes, and there were three, but
it was the whites, the free people of color, and the slaves.
Yes. And then the whites were put into two groups. So there was the Grand Blancs and the Petit Blancs. And the Grand Blancs were they had higher power, they were involved in the government, and then the Petit Blancs, they were commoners, and they had lower social classes. And then since the white had all the power, they didn't even consider the slaves humans, they were their property. And then after that, there were the free people of color, and these were the mulattoes. They were offspring of women of mixed race and then white fathers. They were considered free, but they didn't have as many rights as the whites, and they oftentimes could be treated as outcasts because they weren't just one race. And then the final group were the slaves. They were given multiple jobs, either like out in the farms or in the houses, and the slaves consisted of true Africans and those who were natural born on the Creole island. And I see here in my paper, I talked about how the slaves did outnumber the whites on this island by more than 10-1, but since the whites had superior military technology, it enabled them to control the colony until the French Revolution divided them against themselves. So that was like the main social structures during that time.
Yeah, kind of going off what Sam said, I know there's like currently not notable white population or even like a white like social structure in Haiti today. So I guess you could relate that to, obviously it's many decades after, but there's clearly a strong distinction between before the revolution and after the revolution. Like now there's not slaves and almost the entire population is black, and there's not really a notable white power structure in place. And this is really the case in most revolutions, I think, because like someone's going to be suppressed or something like that, whether it be like economically, socially, politically, something like that. So they're going to be suppressed, and then they're going to revolt and try and gain more power in whatever sort of revolution it may be.
Okay, so also during my revolution, the three main political structures were the French government, the nobility, and the royalty, and then also the commoners. During the revolution, they came up with the Declaration of the Rights of Man and also the Constitution of 1791. And those kind of got rid of the social classes and like the distinction between the people because it abolished the nobility. So it was supposed to make everyone socially and politically equal and like give everyone equal rights. But also this led to great tension between the nobility and the commoners, as well as like the nobility with the government, because their titles were taken away, and so they were mad, and so this led to tensions and hostilities and revolts. So it kind of just continued to stoke the fire for the revolution. So it kind of just helped to make the revolution last longer than it should have because of those like revolts and things.
I'm impressed. That was very descriptive. I'm proud of the amount of work you guys have done for my class. Sadly, we are running out of time, so class, as we come to a close, I just have one more question for you. Do y'all believe that revolutions can be fully completed?
I think they can. Obviously, it can be controversial, but like, just for example, like the American Revolution, I definitely think you could argue it's been completed. I mean, we were a territory of the English, and we revolted. We created our own country, and since then we've become the world's most powerful superpower. So I don't see how anyone could argue against that. Like, it's definitely a completed revolution. Like, we gained what we sought out to get. Like, everyone has equal rights in the eyes of the law and that kind of stuff. So it's a free country, and we're insanely powerful. So yeah.
I mean, I understand your point of view, but I also do think that it could be argued that they cannot be fully completed because a lot of things are still going on today.
Yeah, like one of the main points of the revolution was like, you know, equality for all and having everyone equal, and that was one of their goals. And, you know, today that goal hasn't been exactly completed. There's still inequality between, you know, races, gender, wealth. There's all kinds of inequality in America. So you could argue that because that goal wasn't completed, then the revolution hasn't been completed, like per se. You could say that it hasn't been, basically. So, I mean, I can see what you're saying, but I think that there's no way for a revolution to be completely completed.
Yeah, and I think that shows that there's no like clear-cut answer. I feel like we could argue like forever and ever, and I think like all of us could agree that there's no like right or wrong answer. There's no yes it was completed or no it was completed. I think that it's just open for discussion, and anyone can really debate either side if they have the facts to like back it up.
Yeah.
So
This concludes our last lecture of the semester. I've enjoyed teaching you all, and I can't wait to see what you guys accomplish in the future. Have a great break.
I don't
There.
Yeah.